It all started on a bright Friday afternoon when four college friends, Ethan, Ryan, Chloe, and Mia, decided to escape the noise of the city and go camping deep into the woods. For weeks, they had been planning a perfect weekend away from traffic, deadlines, and routines. Ethan, the adventurous one, kept saying, "Come on, guys, let's do something unforgettable." His idea was to pick a forest far away, a place where no one else usually went. Ryan brought the camping gear, tents, sleeping bags, and cooking supplies. Chloe, always cautious, carried a first aid kit and a flashlight with extra batteries. Mia, the most excited, couldn't stop filming everything on her phone, ready to upload it as a fun vlog later. The drive was long, but full of laughter. Music blasted through the car speakers as they left behind the busy roads and entered narrower paths leading toward the forest. Trees grew taller, denser, and darker as they drove deeper. To them, it felt like an adventure movie, where they were the heroes about to explore the unknown. When they finally reached a clearing in the woods, they jumped out of the car and stretched, breathing in the crisp air. Ethan clapped his hands and shouted, "This is it, our perfect camping spot." They set up their tents, arranged firewood, and prepared to light a campfire as the evening approached. Everything felt so peaceful, almost too peaceful. The sound of birds, the rustle of leaves, and the cool breeze gave them a sense of freedom. They laughed, roasted marshmallows, and shared stories as the sun dipped behind the trees. Little did they know, this perfect plan would soon turn into their worst nightmare. The forest wasn't as empty as they thought, and something in the darkness had already noticed their arrival. The next morning, before the friends could go deeper into the woods to explore, they decided to make a quick stop at a small roadside shop in the nearby village. The shop was old with wooden walls, dusty shelves, and the smell of tobacco hanging in the air. An old man sat behind the counter, his wrinkled face shadowed under a wide-brimmed hat. Ethan cheerfully asked for water bottles and snacks. The old man stared at them in silence for a moment, then slowly handed over the items. Just as they were about to leave, he spoke in a low, cracked voice. "You kids shouldn't camp out there. These woods are not safe." Ryan laughed nervously. "Not safe? Because of animals?" The old man shook his head. His eyes grew distant, as if remembering something painful. "Not animals. Something else. Many who go in there never come back." Chloe frowned, her cautious nature making her uneasy. "What do you mean by something else?" she asked. But the man didn't answer directly. Instead, he leaned closer, lowering his voice. "If you hear whispers in the night, don't follow them. If you see someone you know standing in the trees, don't go near. And for God's sake, when the fire dies, don't let the dark take you." A chilling silence followed his words. Mia recorded it on her phone, whispering, "This is gold for my vlog. Creepy village warnings, perfect." Ethan brushed it off, forcing a laugh. "Come on, guys, he's just trying to scare us." Every scary story starts with an old man warning the group, right? The friends left, trying to keep the mood light. But deep inside, Chloe couldn't shake off the old man's haunting words. As they drove back toward the forest, the trees seemed darker, the shadows longer, and the wind colder. It was as if the woods themselves had heard the warning and were waiting. That evening, the group returned to their campsite, eager to enjoy another night of freedom under the stars. The fire crackled as they cooked noodles in a small pot, joking and laughing about the old man's spooky warning. Ethan kept imitating the villager's voice, saying, "Don't let the dark take you," while everyone burst into laughter. But as the night grew darker, the forest grew unnaturally quiet. The cheerful sound of birds and insects had faded away. Only the faint rustle of leaves echoed in the distance, carried by the wind. Chloe noticed it first. She whispered, "Do you guys hear that? It's too quiet, like the forest is holding its breath." Mia shrugged, busy filming with her phone. It's fine, Chloe. This'll make our vlog spookier. Audiences love creepy silence. But then, snap, a sharp cracking sound echoed from the trees. Everyone froze. Ryan grabbed a flashlight and pointed it toward the dark woods, but the beam revealed nothing. Ethan tried to keep the mood light. Probably just a raccoon. Or maybe Bigfoot checking us out. Moments later, faint whispers floated through the air. They were soft, almost like distant voices calling from between the trees. Mia stopped filming, her hands trembling. Did you guys hear that? Someone's talking out there. The whispers grew clearer, overlapping as if several voices were speaking at once. None of the friends could make out the words, but they felt cold shivers running down their spines. Chloe clutched her flashlight tightly. This isn't funny anymore. Maybe the old man was right. Suddenly, heavy footsteps thudded just beyond the tree line. Ryan shined the light again, but all they saw were shadows moving between the trunks, too tall, too quick to be animals. The campfire flickered violently, almost dying out, as if something was drawing the warmth away. Ethan forced a smile, but his voice shook. It's just the wind. Yeah, just the wind. But deep down they all knew it wasn't. The night dragged on slowly. After the whispers faded, the group tried to act normal. They sat closer to the fire, speaking in low voices, as if afraid of being overheard by the dark forest around them. Ethan kept tossing more wood into the flames, determined not to let the fire die. But Ryan grew restless. I'm going to check around just to be sure, he said, grabbing his flashlight. Chloe immediately protested. Are you insane? You heard those voices. We shouldn't split up. Ryan forced a grin. It's just the woods. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Relax. Before anyone could stop him, he stepped into the trees, the beam of his flashlight cutting through the darkness. The sound of his footsteps slowly faded until the forest swallowed him whole. Minutes passed, then more minutes. Chloe's hands trembled as she checked her watch. It's been 15 minutes. You should be back by now. Mia, still clutching her phone, whispered, maybe he's messing with us? Like a prank. But her voice carried no confidence. Ethan stood up, trying to sound brave, though his eyes darted nervously at the trees. Ryan, hey man, joke's over. Come back. His voice echoed, but the forest answered with silence. Suddenly, in the distance, Ryan's flashlight flickered faintly between the trees. The group sighed with relief until they realized something. The light wasn't moving. It was just standing still. Chloe's face turned pale. That's not right. Why isn't he walking back? Ethan grabbed a stick from the fire, using it as a torch. I'm going to get him. But before he could take a step, the light suddenly blinked out, swallowed by the dark. A heavy silence pressed over the group. Mia's voice cracked as she whispered, he's gone. The realization hit them all at once. Ryan hadn't just wandered off. He had vanished, and the forest had taken him. The fire crackled weakly, its glow barely holding back the creeping shadows. The 3 remaining friends, Ethan, Chloe, and Mia, sat in silence, their faces pale with fear. Ryan's disappearance weighed heavily on them, and every second felt like the forest was drawing closer, pressing in around their little circle of light. Then, out of nowhere, came the sound of twigs snapping. Not 1 or 2, but several in quick succession, as if multiple feet were moving between the trees. Chloe gasped and tightened her grip on the flashlight. Someone's out there, she whispered, her voice trembling. The shadows shifted. Between the trunks, figures began to appear. At first, they looked human, tall, thin shapes standing unnaturally still. Their heads tilted slightly, as if watching. The firelight barely reached them, but their outlines were clear enough to make Ethan's heart pound. Hello? Ryan, is that you? Ethan called out, though deep down he knew it wasn't. The figures didn't move. They just stared. Suddenly, one of them stepped forward. The movement was wrong. Too stiff, too jerky, like a puppet being pulled by invisible strings. Mia let out a sharp scream, clutching her phone. The camera light flicked on, illuminating the figure's face, or what should have been a face. But instead, it was pale, featureless like smooth wax with two deep black holes where the eyes should be. The moment the light hit it, the figure retreated into the shadows. But more shapes emerged, circling the camp slowly, their movements soundless yet deliberate. The campfire hissed, as if struggling to stay alive. Chloe's voice cracked. "They're surrounding us." Ethan grabbed a burning branch, holding it like a weapon. His voice shook, but he shouted into the dark, "Stay back. Stay away from us." For a moment, the figures froze. Then, almost in unison, they tilted their heads back and let out a low, unnatural hum that vibrated through the trees. It wasn't human. It wasn't animal. It was something else. Something that wanted them to know they weren't alone. The forest was alive now, not with birds or wind, but with that horrible humming sound echoing all around them. The figures had melted back into the trees, but their presence lingered, thick and suffocating. The three friends sat frozen, the fire their only fragile shield. Chloe was the first to break the silence. "We can't stay here. We need to go now." Her voice was sharp, almost panicked. Mia shook her head violently, clutching her phone. "No, out there it's even darker. We'll get lost. What if those things are waiting for us?" Her eyes darted to the shadows, as if expecting one of the faceless figures to step forward at any second. Ethan, breathing heavily, tried to take control. "Listen, we have two choices. We either keep the fire burning and wait for daylight, or we grab our stuff and run back to the car. But if we move, we have to stick together." The tension rose quickly. Chloe argued, "If we wait, they'll come back. You saw them circling us. They're not going to just leave us alone." Mia countered, her voice cracking. "And if we run, what if we run straight into them? What if that humming is meant to push us deeper into the woods?" The fire sputtered, throwing sparks. Every time the flames dipped, they felt the forest closing in. Chloe threw in more wood, her hands shaking. "We're sitting ducks here, Ethan. They already took Ryan. We'll be next if we stay." Ethan's jaw tightened as he stared into the darkness, trying to make a decision. He could feel the weight of leadership pressing on him. Whichever choice he made could mean survival or death. Suddenly, a loud branch snapped behind them. The three friends spun around, hearts pounding. From the shadows, something stepped closer, something walking slowly toward the dying fire. Ethan whispered, almost to himself, "We're out of time." The snapping of the branch silenced every breath around the campfire. The three friends stared into the shadows, their hearts pounding like drums. Slowly, a figure stepped into the glow of the weak firelight. It was Ryan. At first, relief washed over them. Mia jumped up, tears welling in her eyes. "Ryan, where were you?" "We thought—" She stopped. Something was wrong. Ryan stood unnaturally still, his head tilted to the side in the same way the faceless figures had done. His eyes were wide, unblinking, reflecting the firelight like glass. He didn't speak. He didn't smile. He just stared. Chloe whispered, "That's not him." Ethan stepped forward, holding the burning branch like a weapon. "Ryan, if that's really you, say something." For a long moment, silence hung heavy in the air. Then Ryan's lips curled into a slow, eerie smile. When he finally spoke, his voice was not his own. It was layered, distorted, like dozens of voices speaking together. "You should not have come here." The fire suddenly roared higher, sparks bursting upward, as if feeding on the darkness itself. Around them, the faceless figures reappeared, closing in, their hollow eyes fixed on the group. Ryan, or whatever had taken his form, stepped closer, the ground crunching beneath his slow, deliberate steps. Mia screamed, stumbling backward while Chloe grabbed her arm, pulling her closer to the fire. Ethan raised the burning stick, but deep down he knew it was useless. The humming began again, louder, vibrating through their bones. Ryan's distorted voice rose above it, whispering, "The woods keep what enters. None leave." The friends huddled together, their faces lit by the fire's last desperate flames. The figures closed in tighter. The shadows swallowed them. And by morning, the campsite stood empty. Only ashes remained, and the forest was silent once more.